morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's time to rise and shred. We hope you have had an incredible weekend. I've got the one, the only, the absolutely handsome and devilish Jacob Gaffney joining me this morning. We were just talking Twitter, ladies and gentlemen. I just followed Jacob Gaffney on Twitter. If you don't follow him on Twitter, he's got almost 7,000 followers. Go follow Jacob right now on Twitter. He's absolutely brilliant there. If you don't follow me on Twitter, I don't have as many as that. You guys all know I'm IG, I'm Facebook, which is going to be our big talk. We're talking Facebook. We're talking the Delta dip. We're talking Bitcoin mortgage. What? Are you crazy? There is so much. The discussion is going to be off the hook. Ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to want to miss the show. Are you ready? Are you ready? It is time to rise and shred. Happy Monday. Whoa, happy Monday morning to everyone. We hope everybody had a great weekend. Jacob and I are back as we always are on the Monday morning Rise and Shred. Ladies and gentlemen, if you do not subscribe to Rise and Shred, you're absolutely insane. It's the #1 daily diary of the mortgage industry. We get straight to your inbox. We don't mess around. We give you the stories. We're not linking you out. You can take 5 minutes and get all the up-to-date information. We truly are the only and #1 daily diary of the mortgage industry. Kevin Kelling, good morning. #shred. What's up, Kelling? Brett Kuhn, Rise and Shredding. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for joining us. Jacob, before we get into so many intriguing stories, how was your weekend, sir?
Well, it's good. Kids getting back to school. Some wearing masks, some don't. Can you get a kid to wear a mask? That's hard. We'll see what happens. We see Delta going down in some areas. We see Delta going up in some areas. We see the economy going crazy. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. But I want to talk to you. I want to ask you a very specific question, Josh. Are you ready for it?
I'm ready.
How often do you use your Facebook?
Oh, every day, multiple times a day. I mean, I probably use Facebook more than anything.
Okay. So could you delete it?
Maybe. Probably not. Probably not.
You should delete it.
Ooh, let's get into it.
Everyone here should delete it, but no one here can delete it.
But I say,
this is sometimes, Josh, you have people on your show that are like, I just did this. I challenge you to do that. I'm going to talk really, really loud, and I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. You have guests like that all the time, Josh, right?
We do.
I'm not that kind of guest.
Nope.
I'm weaker, Josh. I never use my Facebook. I hate my Facebook. I could never delete my Facebook, but I should.
Sure.
Everyone should delete their Facebook. No one should have a Facebook. The government says Facebook is an evil empire that is destroying the nation with misinformation and loose privacy standards. And they're right. Facebook is one of the most, if not the divisive platform out there. And here's what the FTC is saying. The FTC is saying that Facebook has an absolute monopoly on social media. Do you agree?
I would agree. I would actually 100% agree with that.
It's hard because the federal government, the FTC, actually has a point. You should go into Rise and Shred. Everyone should go into Rise and Shred and read the actual complaint on the gov.us court's website, okay? Read the actual complaint because it is very interesting. All right, we could take some things. Okay, so very interesting. The federal government says in the complaint, without meaningful competition, so there's no competition for Facebook. Facebook has been able to provide lower levels of service quality on privacy and data than it would have to provide in a competitive market. This is a very, very interesting antitrust complaint, is that when you have no competitor, you get to do what you want.
Free reign.
I know that's true. That's certainly true in the trade media here in the mortgage industry. We see a lot of publishers just doing what they want. We see people complaining about their behaviors, complaining about their writing, complaining about this, that. And the publishers, they don't care. They don't listen. You know why? Because we're all jealous, right? We're all jealous. We're not as big as they are. We're not as hot as they are. Exactly. They're taking a page from Facebook's book, okay?
100%.
It is crazy, this case against Facebook. And time to bring back MySpace. I don't know, Doll. I love you, but maybe we should all just go to LinkedIn instead.
Oh,
But
I like it.
I do miss the customability of Facebook. MySpace, I'm getting confused. But Josh, let's talk about one of the reasons why we should delete Facebook. Bam. So this is not in the Rise and Shred. This is something that came about on the weekend. But basically, what they have found is that Facebook is such a platform for misinformation that it's actually their not true posts that do the best.
What?
Think about that for a second. Okay, think about that for the second. Lying on Facebook makes you popular.
Holy smokes.
Okay, so that is what that article is about. Well, we could try to drop a link in tomorrow's Rise and Shred, but I think it just speaks for itself that Facebook says its most popular posts are the ones that do not tell the truth, that spread misinformation. We've talked about misinformation campaigns and their growing commonality and how they're becoming more and more dangerous. We're not talking about public health issues, which is where it really started. I mean, let's face it, Josh, it really started with politics, right? That was the low-hanging fruit, is that politicians lie all the time. So if we lie about the politicians, we can all throw fruit at each other, say we lie at each other, and it's a big old Italian festival where they're throwing tomatoes at one another, okay? It's not, I kind of went off on a tangent there, but I think you understand what I'm saying.
100%.
That misinformation spreads faster than truth.
Absolutely. All the time, all day.
And misinformation is what made Facebook an evil empire.
Wow.
And that's what the federal government is doing. And I'll let you, Josh, you're the social media guru. You are the guy who says, don't use this mic, use that mic. You're doing it wrong. Do it this way. This is how you do it right. You do it right. What is your response to this Facebook allegation? Or what is Facebook's response? You tell me.
I was going to say, so I'm going to show you Facebook's response, and then I'm going to get into mine, because many of you, like I mentioned Twitter earlier, if you don't follow Jacob, you don't follow myself, Jacob has an amazing following here on Twitter. He shares some really interesting, some really thoughtful stuff. So make sure you follow Jacob and myself here on Twitter. But here is Facebook's response to this. It is unfortunate that despite the court's dismissal of the complaint and conclusion that it lacked the basis for a claim, the FTC has chosen to continue this meritless lawsuit. Now, I want to encourage everybody to, as Jacob said, to actually go read the allegation, like to go read the file. What would you call it? I don't even know what you call that, Jacob. That's what is it? The actual complaint, what they filed.
It's an antitrust lawsuit.
Okay, so it's their law. Go read their lawsuit. You can read it, and it is. I read it this morning as well. It is very intriguing. And actually, when we ran this story in Friday's Rise and Shred, I actually had a few people, and even this is really cool. My parents even asked me about this. My parents are like, "Hey, do you really not like you live on Facebook? Do you not trust Facebook?" And so we actually had a really cool discussion with some of my family yesterday about this. And Jacob, like you said, I spend hours and hours on social media platforms. Facebook is by far and away the most dominant. People are saying, well, LinkedIn, like for business, and Instagram and this and that. No, all you mortgage professionals, especially mortgage real estate, for the most part, Facebook still is their go-to. Here, and I have a lot of, I like Facebook to an extent. I think there's some things that you can do when it comes to growing an audience, getting attention, growing your brand. It's great. But on the flip side of it, we have seen firsthand here at Shred and personally that they will pick and choose. Even if you're paying to play, it is such a pay to play game on Facebook, but they will absolutely, they can monitor and they can control what is seen, what is heard. If they like your message, we know this. We've played their game. And Dal and our team can attest to this, is the eye-catching or the falsities or the kind of those catchy titles, if you will. They do way better on Facebook when it starts to spark the interest or the mistrust of the audience. Those posts do better. So, am I pro Facebook? Am I against Facebook? Here's the fact of the matter, ladies and gentlemen. We use it to grow our brand. We use it to help companies get attention. And it's still where a lot of eyeballs are at. Love them or hate them. People, many of you, go check your device today. It would blow your mind to see how much, especially if you own an iPhone, you can see how much time you're spending on that app. Go check it out. Maybe you should spend less time. It is one of those, it's a double-edged sword. It's a catch-22, if you will. Facebook is for some companies, it's a means to an end to get their brand out there. So Jacob, it's one of those questions where you asked me, could I delete it? I probably couldn't.
I mean, should you delete it? Yes.
Yeah,
should I delete mine? Absolutely. Can I? No, I don't even use mine and I still can't delete it. There is something about it, and that is how it gets you, Josh. That is the secret. The secret is this. When you talk about Twitter, there are limits to how much you can communicate.
Right.
All right. When you're on LinkedIn, there's limits to your decorum. You're a professional. You can't go spouting off anything. There are no such limitations for Facebook.
None.
Other than what Facebook happens to find, and let's face you, their bans are slaps in the wrist, because if you actually study Facebook and you go back to it, and you go back to a very common model in the mortgage trade press as well, which it's better to buy than to compete. They don't actually look to compete, because then they'd have to really care about the quality of their product.
Yep.
Okay. They don't have to care about the quality of their product. They can buy whatever they want and grow. And that's what the government has a problem with. Now, on the other end, you have the end user who is able to find a place for their own personal bully puppet. It doesn't matter what you believe in, Josh. Facebook, you can go and find other like-minded people and browbeat others who think otherwise and make you feel superior. It's a bully pulpit. It's something unlike anything we've seen, and it was designed to do exactly this. It was not designed by people who are communications professionals, like me with a degree in broadcasting, for example, and that's fine, right? That's fine. I just think that communications is a very important topic, and when you're looking at the number one platform for people to communicate, a platform that's been known to be used for nefarious purposes time and time and time again, then you begin to see, well, if it wasn't for the FTC doing something, then what will we have? So you think of why America is so great is that we actually do have a regulatory authority that is trying to do something, unlike in other countries. I'm talking China. I'm talking Russia. I'm talking the other countries where stuff like this that proliferates messages without limits that are pro-government continue to flourish.
Right.
So at least we have control. At least we can have this conversation, Josh. So it's not the end. We're not losing. We could be able to keep our Facebooks, but maybe, just maybe, there's some hope that we can get improvements on the monopoly. But I got to be honest with you, I do not see anybody coming up and offering a computer, bring back MySpace. It's fun to think about, but it's probably not going to happen. And it's kind of a depressing thing on a Monday, but there you have it.
And I like that as a way to end that story. Facebook is one of those. It's it's going to continue to be dominant. And until somebody else comes along, or if the FTC shuts them down, which they won't, because there's too much power there. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, it is depressing, but Facebook, what are your thoughts? Comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. We'd love to hear, that's why we do the show. Let's hear your feedback on that. With that being said, let's move over to something less depressing, maybe a little bit. The dip in the Delta variant. Are we doing a little dip, Jacob? What do you think here?
It is a dip, Josh. It's called the Delta dip, by the way. Should everyone ask, what's the Delta dip? It is not when your plane loses altitude.
Delta. That's not a dance. I thought it was a dance. I thought it was like that.
It is something that is being seen, that the GDP forecasts are now being slashed by the major economists at major lending institutions, because Delta is having a negative impact on the economy, and it is having it in very unique ways. Okay, Josh, that's the funny thing, because I come at you, and I was just, when we were prepping for the show, I was like, I am nowhere near prepared to deliver this message this morning, because it gets so deep. This economic turbulence is so different, and I think that's why you don't honestly read a whole bunch about it outside of what economists are putting out to clients, because it's very hard. And you take a look, that Rise&Shred is a perfect example. There are no fewer than 3 diverging opinions over the impact of the Delta dip. All 3 say, yes, there's a Delta dip. All 3 say something different. What are we going to do with that, Josh? What are we going to do?
I was going to say, how do you even take that?
I can't make a decision on any investments right now. I can't make a decision on anything pending on interest rates right now. I can't make a decision on whether or not I should go buy apples today or Wednesday, because the price is going to spike, because it could. There are too many. I mean, we shouldn't even get into it. There's only 4 minutes left in the show, Josh. Just read the Rise&Shred, people. It's in there. Right. Just read the Rise&Shred. Sign up. Send it to a friend. Don't let this die. Don't let Facebook kill us. Facebook's trying to kill us, everyone. Don't let them do it.
Don't let them.
Let's build it up.
Build it. I like it. That there's just so much misinformation. Facebook, don't take us down. Delta, don't kill us. But
all right. So we were talking about Facebook and how that is a good hotbed for just crazy ideas, right?
Yep.
So let's bring one up ourselves. United Wholesale Mortgage. Always got to be. Do you know Matt Ishbia? I don't know. He used to play basketball, but did he run track? He's always got to come in first.
Yep.
Why does he always got to come in first? What is that, Josh? You got that competitive mentality. You always got to come in first.
Here's the thing. Matt is a good friend. He's one of the most competitive people. And when he gets something in it, like he's like, I'm all in going, like, I want to be number one. We're going to be number one. And he just has that mentality. And when we ran this story last week, I actually got a lot of people like, hey, is this something? I got a lot of messages on this one, Jacob. I'm not going to lie. I got a lot of people messaging me on this one. Like, this one, Bitcoin is just a fad. This is just a way for attention. UWM and Matt to grab attention. No way. And like, we'll get into this because everybody knows I've got a very strong opinion on blockchain, but Jacob.
No. I wish. I don't like Bitcoin. You love Bitcoin. I don't love Bitcoin. We'll never fight. But before we get into that, I will say that Matt Ishbia will be the first. This is the prediction. Matt Ishbia will be the first mortgage executive into space.
Oh, I like that.
It's not going to be Jay at Quicken. It's not going to be Anthony at Loan Depot. Matt Ishbia will be in space before any of us get into space. I'm telling you.
I would agree with that 100%.
He probably has a rocket ship that he's designing right now. If he's not building it himself in the evenings and weekends with his kids. I mean, I'm just thinking that Bitcoin, let's talk about Bitcoin. Yeah, everyone thinks Bitcoin should be shortened into BS. Yeah. I get that. I totally get that. Matt Ishbia is saying they want to be the first to do a mortgage in Bitcoin. Well, okay, beep.
Pump the brakes.
Beep. Okay, cryptocurrencies came about because the current financial institutions were manipulating the value of the currencies. So when you look at the LIBOR manipulation, when you look at the trade X indices, and you look at the way they were able to use technology to short currency markets, okay? Also, the idea of currency being run by the big banks was exploiting loopholes so that other nefarious parties can use currencies to hide their transactions.
Right.
So the idea was that you get things like, and we talk about Bitcoin as a form of cryptocurrency. You can talk about Dogecoin, which is do only good.
Yeah.
Right. People who do cryptocurrencies generally have an idea that this is an improvement on the way the transaction can be committed, that it is not something that enables more fraud, but it's something that enables traceability through ISP numbers, through DNS, through all sorts of paths. And also it's completely secure because it does not exist. Now, it is not pegged to any market. It's not pegged to the United States' ability to repay its credit debts. It's not pegged to gold. It is a derivative. That means it is worth what you and I say. How much is one shred coin worth to you, Josh?
Ooh, shred bucks. Oh man, shred bucks are worth a lot. They're worth.
To me, they're only worth one. Can you go 1.5?
I'll go 1.5.
Okay.
Deal.
Boom. We've derived a value for shred bucks.
Just
right.
Like that.
It's done. It's between two parties. There's a lot of misunderstanding there. There's a lot of danger. But as long as you and I aren't creating any foul play between it should work just fine. However, it is outside the form of regulation. But if United Wholesale likes it and they want to do it, then it bears taking serious.
You bet.
And while we joked a lot about Matt Ishbia, his competitiveness, we joked a lot about Facebook. When a major mortgage institution in our space begins to look seriously at something, it bears witness.
Bingo.
To everything, and we're going to be watching it because that is very interesting. And the fact that you got a bunch of emails saying that was BS, I love that.
Oh, I think me too. Great.
And maybe some of them are a little bit nasty or whatever, and that's a good thing because people should be concerned. They should be concerned about Facebook monopoly. They should be concerned about the Delta dip, and they should be concerned about cryptocurrency taking over the almighty dollar.
They really should. They 100%. This is one of those things I could talk about cryptocurrency. I talked about it last week on one of my shows. This is something cryptocurrency. I agree with you on this one with Bitcoin. I'm not a huge fan of Bitcoin. Don't love Bitcoin. I love blockchain, understanding Ethereum, Polygon, some of these other ones, and understanding how the chain works. I do believe, and I've had a conversation with some people within our industry. I think the smart contract that is tied to blockchain, not Bitcoin, there will definitely be a revolution, a change on how the mortgage mortgage process is done through smart contracts.
Absolutely.
Aside from Bitcoin, like you said, the biggest thing that you all need to be paying attention to, the fact that UWM and Matt Ishby have announced that they're looking into this, that's big news. Like the fact that Bitcoin just crossed the $50,000 mark this morning, ladies and gentlemen. $50,000, like Jacob said, enough people think that Bitcoin is worth $50,000 a coin. So anyway, that's very, very interesting news. Something we all need to be paying attention to, because who knows? Will the future be paid? Will our mortgages be paid in Bitcoin, Ethereum? Will they be paid in Axie coin? Who knows? There's so many things to look forward to. But I can guarantee you, here's one thing that I can promise you and guarantee you that Jacob and I will be talking about it. We're going to be first and front when it comes to the discussion right here, the Daily Dive. We're going to be chatting. We're going to be giving you the facts. We're not going to be just making up BS to get your attention. We're not lying, so Facebook will put us at the top of the game. We're giving you the facts, ladies and gentlemen, most of the time. Just kidding. We always give the facts. Jacob, today is such a great show. We're over our 20-minute mark. It's time to wrap it up. Any other thoughts? Anything you want to end with today?
Josh, I hope you have a good weekend. I look forward to keep working with you. We have some exciting things coming from you and I in our collaboration. So everybody stay tuned. It's only going to get better. It's only going to get better. Can it get better? Could it get better?
It can. I say it is. We are just getting started. Jacob and I, and like you said, the collaborations that are happening, ladies and gentlemen, the impact is coming. You're going to have to be paying attention for it. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you joining us. Thank you for the comments. If you guys have any, if you want to get part of the discussion, comment below. Go join us on Twitter. Now that Jacob and I know each other on Twitter, we're going to start more conversations on Twitter over there. You're going to have to come hang out with us on Twitter. Plus here on Facebook, here on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch. And now we're going to start doing this now we can do it live on Twitter too, now that Jacob and I are there. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate you. We love you. Now it's time for you to all have an incredible week and shred. Show up, hustle, repeat every day. See ya.